Welcome to the MBTI Career Assessment. Today we will be looking at the assessment itself, as well as your results. The MBTI questionnaire was first published in 1943 and was originally developed in the United States by Catherine Briggs and her daughter Isabel Briggs Myers. During the past 50 years, it has become the most widely used personality assessment in the world. It's printed in over 14 languages. Please know that it does not measure your abilities, likelihood of success, intelligence or skills, or maturity or mental health. This is only looking at personality preference. The MBTI is used in many different ways. It's used in organizations, educational settings, counseling, team building, for improving relationships, leadership development, and also college and career development. Take a moment and grab something to write with. A pen, pencil, marker, anything will be fine. Pause the video, and I want you to go ahead and write your full name on a piece of paper. Once you have written your full name, I want you to switch hands. Pause the video again and write your full name with your opposite hand. So how did that exercise feel? The very first time you picked up your pen or pencil, you wrote with your more preferential hand, the hand that you are normally using to write with. You probably did not need to think too much about the letters you were creating. You weren't thinking about their structure or flow. But when you switched hands, all of a sudden you had to start thinking about how to form the letter A or S or T. And all of a sudden it became a little bit more difficult. So while you might be able to do the opposite hand as far as writing, it may not be your preference. In the Myers-Briggs, we are looking at 4 different dichotomies. We're looking at extroversion and introversion, this indicating how a person is energized. We're looking at sensing and intuition, what a person pays attention to, thinking and feeling, how a person makes decisions, and also judging and perception, how a person organizes their world. So let's start with extroversion or introversion. And again, this is how the direction of our focus, how are we gaining energy from being around other people? Let's take a look at extroversion and introversion. As this illustration shows, extroverts really value the external world. They enjoy meeting and talking with new people. They're usually very friendly, often verbally skilled, and easy to get to know. They tend to speak out easily and often in meetings and in the classroom. When looking at introverts, you can see that they more focus on the internal world. They prefer to interact with people that they know well. They're often quiet in meetings, maybe seeming uninvolved, and they sometimes can be reserved and depends on who they are, but maybe harder to get to know. Let's take a look at some of these keywords that potentially could go along with each of these areas. So for instance, if you're more extroverted, you might be more active, outward, sociable, people first, speaking first, expressive, many words, breadth, and also few surprises. Introverts, on the other hand, are more reflective, more focused inward, reserved, privacy, few words, quiet. They're thinking first, they go deep, and they also could seem like they have a hidden side to themselves. When you think about the preference, again, think about where you might fall. Are you someone towards the middle of this preference? You may spend time on both sides of this dichotomy. Or do you tend to be a little bit more leaning towards introversion versus extroversion? Let's now talk about sensing and intuition. This is how we take in information and the kind of information we like and trust. When we look at sensing types, they look at present information in a very sequential, step-by-step way. They see and collect facts and details. They're very practical and realistic. and specific and literal when speaking, writing, and listening. Very different than intuitive types that look at the big snapshot, the big picture, instead of the sequential step by step. Intuitive types might see patterns and possibilities in information. They're much more conceptual and abstract, and they often live in the future, always thinking ahead to the possibilities. Here also are some terms that go along with both sensing and intuitive. Sensors usually love details. They're very present oriented, practical, specific, enjoy facts, sequential way of thinking. They like repetition, enjoyment overall, and conserve. Intuitive types enjoy patterns, always looking ahead to the future, very imaginative, innovative, random. They go off their hunches. They like variety. They always anticipate, and they don't mind change. So let's take a moment and have you pause the video again as you think about how you might describe an apple. Pause the video, write down some of your thoughts about how you would describe an apple, and then come back to the video. All right, so for those of you who may be a little bit more sensing, you might have described an apple as being red or green, maybe round. Or, for instance, if you're more intuitive, we're thinking about a bigger picture or concept of an apple. Perhaps you're thinking it was a fruit. It was healthy for you. So you know that an apple might be red or green, but you're also thinking about the bigger picture of what an apple is. Hopefully that made sense as you were thinking about the way you described an apple. Now let's talk about thinking and feeling. This is the way you make decisions on a daily basis. Thinkers look at decisions by taking a step back from the situation and taking a very objective view. They use logic to analyze the problem and assess pros and cons. They focus on the facts and the principles, and they're very good at analyzing situations. Different than feeling types step into the situation, taking an empathetic view. They use their personal values to understand the situation, focus on the values of a group or organization, and they're also very good at understanding people and their viewpoints. Again, let's take a look at some of the keywords that might go along with these types. Thinkers, they're using their head, they're using logic, they're fair, just, sometimes can seem cool, impersonal, criticize sometimes, analyze, precise, and they go off their principles. Feeling types use their heart, their emotions, praising other people. They really value harmony, caring about others. They're very personal in their approach, appreciative, empathizing, persuasive, and they also have high values that they tend to make decisions from. So again, let's think about this particular question. If you were to explain to a prospective graduate student why UNCC is a good place to attend, what exactly would you say? Take a moment, pause the video, and think of your response. Okay, so for instance, for those of you who may be thinking oriented, you might think that it has your particular graduate program. It was only 5 miles away, and so that was logical for you to come to UNCC. Maybe the tuition was affordable, and so that was what was the deal breaker when thinking about graduate school. On the other hand, if you're more feeling oriented, it could be that you came on a campus tour and it just felt like home. You felt like the teachers were nice and you could see making friends on campus here. And so even though there might also have been a logical approach to why you came to UNCC, there was also that feeling side that made the determining factor whether you came here or not. Finally, let's talk about the judging and the perceiving traits. This is our attitude towards the external world and how we orient ourselves to it. Judging types have a very planned approach to meeting a deadline in a very scheduled way. They make plans and follow them. They enjoy being very decisive in organizing others. They enjoy handling deadlines comfortably, planning ahead for last-minute rushes. Vice versa, perceivers have a more spontaneous approach. They look at the deadline, but they also see openings for other things that could take place. So they're responding resourcefully to changing situations, leaving things open, often having to rush sometimes to complete things at the last minute. Once again, let's take a look at some of these key words. So judging types are very organized, structured, enjoy control, decisive, deliberate, enjoy closure, planning, deadlines, and also focusing on one project at a time. Perceivers, though, enjoy flexibility, a flow to their work, lots of experience, curious about life, spontaneous, open, don't mind waiting, enjoy new discoveries, and enjoy working on many projects at once. Let's consider this next question. It is September, and you find out that your dream study abroad experience will happen in May. The deadline to register and put down a deposit is February 1st. What would you do next? Take a moment, pause the video, and consider your next steps. Okay, so for those of you who are more judging oriented, most likely you see that deposit on February 1st as one of your deadlines. So what do? You start preparing months in advance. What do I do this fall in October, November, December? Do I need a job to start making money for that deposit? On the other hand, a perceiving type might look at February 1st as a long way away. Lots can happen between now and February. So how can I potentially just leave things open, see what happens along the way? Maybe I don't need to think about it right now when I could think about it in November. So kind of think about your tendency. Are you someone who enjoys planning far in advance, or do you like to take things as it comes? So when we think about these four dichotomies, we have to think about them as they are together in different sequences. When combined, your preferences indicate your personality type. And within the Myers-Briggs, there are 16 different personality types. Take a moment and identify your type. Now let's take a look at your MBTI results. The very first thing that you will see in your results is the clarity index. This showcases how clear your preference is in any of the different dichotomies. For instance, on this clarity index, extroversion is very clear. So is intuition. You'll notice, though, that feeling is slight, while perceiving is right on the line of clear and very clear. So in this case, we have a very sure understanding that this individual is an ENP. But sometimes with that F, because it's just slight, they might spend some time on that thinking side as well, even though they have a slight preference for feeling. So as you are also looking at your results, you may have some things in moderate or clear, and then some of you may be in very clear. That's okay. Just know that even if it's a slight preference, that will be the initial hunch when making a decision. Let's talk about type and careers. There are thousands and thousands of careers in the world. This is a very general actualization of some of these careers. Certain careers and MBTI types lead to specific job tasks, and that is where these short lists come from. So if your particular career does not show up here, please do not take that you're in the wrong area. Just know that these are generalizations. ST traits. Let's think about who those individuals are. People who are very good at details and thinking through logical systems. So sometimes individuals with STs, they really enjoy math areas like accounting. They might also like management, law enforcement, and possibly engineering fields. People who are sensing and also feeling, people who are very good at details, but also good with empathy with others, they might go into healthcare fields, the world of education, office work, and also nonprofit work. Let's think about intuitive feeling types. These individuals see the big picture and also have an empathy for the outside world. So again, counseling fields, art and music, maybe writing, psychology or sociology, and also education. And finally, intuitive thinking. So again, the big picture with a very logical approach to making decisions. So possibly law, physical sciences, technology, management, and also research. When you go to 16personalities.com in your activity handout, I want you to focus on the following things. The first area is workplace habits. So as you navigate your results using this website, consider to yourself, what type of supervision do you desire given your personality? What type of teammate will you be? Do you prefer teams or do you prefer to work independently? Also, what type of leader do you desire to be? The second area that I want you to consider in 16 personalities are your strengths and weaknesses. What are your top personality strengths? What environments and activities will complement these? What are your top personality weaknesses? How will you manage these? If you have any questions about your report and would like to talk to a career coach, you are welcome to make an appointment. You can find all of our information on our Career Center website at career.charlotte.edu. Also, remember, we are on all social media platforms at CLT Career Center. I hope this training today was helpful as you navigate your personality, and we look forward to seeing you soon.